What's going on, buddy? How's it hanging? How's it happening? You guys know who it is. This is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast, brought to you by MSOTD Rocks or Rock and Metal Thrive. Happy special Wednesday, everybody. It is July 21st, and guys, I've been waiting to do this episode for like 2 months, actually released for 2 months. I'm waiting to record this thing for a month, but man, this one was freaking awesome. I can't wait you guys to hear it. But before we get started, I want to thank our sponsor, Phoenix Fitness. Again, we got Conscious back. I'm jumping into mosh pits. I'm having a freaking blast, but I want to make sure I'm on top of my game fitness-wise, so that as many concerts are coming back, I can constantly get back in that mosh pit and make sure my body is in physically fit shape. So, I'm always in the gym, I'm always working out. So, in order to make sure that my body's tip-top shape, reach my fitness goals, I'm using Phoenix Fitness and all their supplements, their vitamins, everything they have in order to make sure my body's in peak condition, like pre-workouts, BCAA compounds to recover with, protein, multivitamins, whatever it might be. If you want to check them out, please do. And at checkout, use code MSOTD to get 15% off of your entire order. Link in the description below. But now on to our feature presentation. If you guys are post-hardcore fans, this is definitely one you're going to want to check out, because Anthony from the band Capstan is our guest today. We talk all about the brand new album Separate, which is coming out on Friday, July 23rd. Talk about what the band's been up to. And honestly, we just have a fun time for about an hour. So you guys can enjoy this podcast fully and enjoy the music, man. Are you guys ready? Because I sure as hell am. So enough with me chit-chatting. Let's go! Yeah! Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of the Chord Progression Podcast, all you post-hardcore fans out there probably got to be just like foaming at the mouth for this band to release their brand new album, Separate. So before they release the album in full on July 23rd, 2021, why not get to know about a little bit about it with us? So we have Anthony DeMar from the band Capstan with us. So Anthony, welcome to the Chord Progression Podcast.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited for this.
I'm very excited to have you on as well, because I'm pretty sure I've been trying to make this happen for about maybe a month before. It's since we're working on shooting this, because I think a month before we shot this, I was in Indianapolis at a hotel, working on the preview stuff for all of this stuff, going through as much as I could on you guys. And then all of a sudden, I've just been hanging out of this since then. So I'm just glad we're finally able to do this.
Yes, absolutely. This is going to be a good time.
Absolutely. Especially if because I said, I was working on this while I was waiting for the Indy 500 to start. That was basically what I was doing. I'm at the race. I'm just okay, let me start working on some of this stuff. All of a sudden, the car started revving up. My brother's punched me. He's like, Kevin, come on, the race start. I'm like, oh shit, okay, here we go.
It's funny you say that. I was actually in just an hour. I don't know exactly where from Indianapolis, but about an hour outside of it. We do a lake house party every year for there's three of us that have all June birthdays in the same week. So we just go up to a lake house out there. So it's kind of funny because it was right at the beginning of June.
Oh, no way. Because just as I was leaving Indy, you guys are coming in. My God, I was that'd have been the weirdest thing ever. All of a sudden, I would have just ended up running you guys a restaurant or something, and just oh, hey, I didn't know that I saw these guys at a random restaurant out of nowhere in Indianapolis, and now I get to talk to you all about it. But of course, that didn't actually happen. But oh well, we're here now.
Hey, yeah, exactly.
All right, Anthony. Before we get really jumping into Separate, Capstan, and everything with the music, I always like to start out these podcasts by asking my guests 3 separate questions. The first 2, very simple, very easy, helps everyone get to know you. But the third one, that's my favorite, because it is the one that kind of puts you on the spot in a rather fun way. So the first question is, what is your name? Second question is, when it comes to Capstan, what do you do in the band? And the third is, I want to know a fun fact or a fun, wacky, interesting story about yourself. One that will hopefully make me laugh so hard that I will fall out of my chair, smack my head on my table, and give myself another concussion. Because I've heard some that have come close to bands chloroforming their lead singer, taking him to a beach, burying him halfway in the sand, and putting a bunch of ketchup all over the place, make it look like his legs got bit off by a shark. I've also heard stories of bands on the road and just all the wacky stuff that has happened there, including driving around and you got to find a bathroom, but you can't find a bathroom, so you just relieve yourself in a bottle, throw the bottle out the window, bottle comes back in through another window, and basically gives the drummer a golden shower.
So that's pretty good. So I'm Anthony. I'm the vocalist of Capstan. And a funny fact, I guess it would be about the band, because anytime we have to stop for the bathroom for an emergency, we have a captain's hat. And if you're the one that is making us stop off of schedule, you got to put the captain's hat on when you go to use the bathroom. So So, so basically, if you're the one that is like, oh my God, you guys, I have to go now, you have to stop. They obviously they stop, but your punishment, you wear the captain's hat. And I've had to wear the captain's hat before, and it's not very fun.
Well, it's not
But
very
it's very
funny.
funny for everyone else.
I gotta say that kind of sounds like a fantasy football punishment for whoever comes in last place, just because it's
Oh
something that
yeah, something like that. Yeah,
it's embarrassing, but it's also fun, especially if you're the one that's not doing it. But it's not super duper over the top crazy, where all of a sudden, like,
yeah,
you know, you pull off at like a wayside or a rest stop on the side of the highway. All of a sudden, you got to put on the captain's hat, and you're walking into the bathroom. There's like 10 people in there, and they're wondering, why the hell is this guy walking in here wearing a captain's hat? And the rest of the band just sit in the back, just laughing hysterically at everyone, looking like, what the hell is going on here?
Yes, and most of the time it's not an easy rest stop off the highway. You have to like get off at an exit, go to like a public place like a gas station or fast food restaurant or anything, and everyone's just like, "What the heck is going on here?"
Yeah, usually what I do is like, because when I was driving up north in June, what ended up happening was like I had to go to the bathroom real bad. I'm like, okay, the last exit before I get in the single lane highway, and the next stop is basically my destination. Is this exit? I'm like, okay, there's a gas station. I'm gonna pull off. I'm gonna stop there. I pull off and it says gas station west 4.5 miles. I'm like, there is no way in hell I want to deal with that. So I turned right. And all of a sudden, like a half mile in, I'm basically getting into the woods. I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to pull over the side, run about 100 feet in, go to the bathroom, run out. And I just told myself, honestly, if I have to do that ever again, it's totally worth it.
Yeah, I mean, it saves you gas money too, and you're in the middle of the wilderness.
Exactly. You're reconnecting with nature in a way on that end. Plus, it'd be
Yeah.
especially funny if all of a sudden it was someone wearing a captain's hat having to do that. So if one of the guys in the band, when you guys are able to go back out on tour and tour with Separate as the new album, yeah, if someone's got to say, hey man, we got to pull over, holy shit, pull over and just have some fun with them.
Exactly.
So, of course, the main reason why we have you on is because your new album Separate comes out on July 23rd, and I was trying to look at some of the things about this album, and it looks like it's a rather heavy album, especially with it being written during the lockdown of 2020 with the pandemic. So I got to ask, what was it like writing this album, especially during the whole entire lockdown period?
So it was honestly probably one of the most productive ways to write. So all of our albums previous, we've been touring heavy, and we're writing songs on the road and everything. When the pandemic hit, we were the only people that saw each other. So we basically met up like a 9-to-5 job, even though it wasn't those hours. And we worked every single day on this album, writing different parts, demoing stuff. And, thank God for Joe. He wrote pretty much the entire album, down to melodies, to chord progressions, to, just pretty much everything. And it was a lot about his life, but being able, like, we were lucky because I know there were bands out there that were like, I haven't seen any of my band members in, 6-7 months. Whereas for us, we were the only people we saw. So we really used it to our advantage in writing this record. We wrote, maybe 23, 24 songs. And we had never in demoing processes have ever scrapped any song that had completed vocals on it. And I think we scrapped maybe 10, 11 songs that we had completed fully. We're just like, you know what, this just doesn't make the cut. And we pushed and pushed to make sure that we thought every song could be a single if we wanted it to be. So I think that was very, we were very lucky in the worst of the times. Nobody ever saw that coming. So it was just, we try to use it to our advantage.
Yeah, no one saw what happened in 2020, especially around middle of March, and all of a sudden everything got shut down, and then, basically everyone was basically kind of like stuck in their house for a couple of months, and then things started slowly open up. But the key is, because I like to talk about this with a bunch of different bands, especially ones that are coming out with new music now, because it's always interesting to see what the process was like and what the mindset was like to really create something. And when I find albums that have been consistently just incredible in terms of construction from top to bottom, in terms of just the song placement on the run through, everything about it, it's really the bands that really took this time to just say, okay, yeah, it's a pandemic, everything's being shut down, and we can't really do anything. We can't go out and tour. We can't just go out and lead our normal lives. But what can we do at this time to make the most of it and make sure that when we look back on 2020, we say we did the most with the time we had? And it clearly seems like you guys did that.
Absolutely. And we were also lucky that towards the end of the year, we were able to go to a small town outside of Austin, maybe 40 minutes outside of Austin, to work with the producer Machine. And we had 4 weeks with him out in the middle of nowhere. So, it had been going on for that entire year, and we were able to go to a remote location and actually record the record, which was, we were very grateful for and very lucky to do so.
Oh, absolutely. There were plenty of bands that had worked on material, that had demoed stuff, and when it came to meeting with the producer to really put these final mixes together, I still know some bands that are still waiting to get back into the studio to finish these things. And it's because of, okay, now the pandemic hit, and these producers either had to shut down their studios or move their studios to a completely different location. And it's just incredible to see everyone's story and hear about it, and hear the fact that you guys were able to get with your producer for 4 weeks in a remote location in the middle of Texas in 2020 to really work on this and put this together and make Separate the best possible album it could be.
Yes, absolutely. And I think the cool part about it is in all of our past recording experiences, we were never able to go to one spot, stay there like at the studio, and record a record together. So it was, the 5 of us with our content guy. So 6, and we like kind of camped out there, and we all stayed, and that was the only focus, was to record this record. And I think that also shows in the recordings, at least in my eyes, it does, that we were really able to focus and put our heart and soul into it.
Did you find it easier to work in that kind of a setting where you guys were all together in one specific location for that amount of time, working on this album, writing this album, making the recordings, producing it, instead of just what you guys had normally been doing, consistently being on the road and then writing it maybe a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit in this spot, working on this spot? Was it easier to just like focus in that one area, kind of like an office in a way?
Yeah, no, I feel like it definitely brought a lot more chemistry to the music itself, even like not only with us, but to the music. And I prefer it that way now that we've been able to do it.
I say, after listening to the singles so far, I really hope that you guys continue to do that, especially going forward in your careers, just because listening to the singles, listening to how everything has flown together so far, especially the song Shades of Us, I think that was your first single as well, just how everything went from one piece to the next. You could easily tell that the chemistry was there when it came to writing this song. You could easily tell that when you dove deep into that song, in terms of the vocals, in terms of the instrumentals, in terms of the whole entire meaning of the song, that I assume Joe ended up writing that song as well. So putting everything together on that, you could just really feel the chemistry and really feel the continuity between all 5 of you guys to really make that happen.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. And honestly, I would love to continue to work with Machine, at least even just for vocals. It was probably the best experience I've had. Very, very hands-on. He was almost like my coach, and it was just very comforting. And like I was able to feel comfortable while I was using the studio for my takes and stuff. So
now, when you came to working with Machine, was it something where it was just that comfort level? Like, how did that comfort level just get built with the fact that you guys, again, were out there for 4 weeks producing this stuff to really create everything? Was there just like a natural comfort level that got built up, or was it just something where the way that he worked and the way that he ended up producing with you guys, was that just something that really connected with you?
I think it was kind of a mixture of both, but he was just like involved in the process. He was on board. He liked the music, and he wasn't afraid to like show us and tell us that. And he was a hype man as much as he was an engineer and a producer. And he had a small team that he worked with out of the studio, and they were also really awesome people. And it was kind of just genuine people, and that's sometimes in this world, it's hard to come by. So that was something that I think really shows in our music as well.
No, absolutely. Because I think during my time recording this podcast, I've been able to talk to one producer when it came to actually like something that actually like really produces music on a podcast. And it was very interesting to hear how he talked about trying to like push the artist that he was working with, who was also sitting next to him when I was recording it as well, to really focus in, especially vocally, where it's the guy would do so many different takes, and it's just like, okay, but I don't believe you. It's like, you got to really believe what you're saying. You got to really get in that headspace, and was trying to force him to understand where his mindset had to be in order to properly give the emotion and probably give the perfect pitch and the perfect sound on the vocals needed to not only complement the instrumentation, but to really let everything flow together so that the meaning and the message behind the song could be felt not only when you're listening to the lyrics and listening to the vocals, but listening to the instrumentals and letting them be your guide through that emotional process.
Hey, absolutely. And coming from someone that doesn't write like most of the lyrics, that is something that is extremely important that I have to do. And, regardless if the song is written about, someone else's personal experience, most of the time, at least with the five of us, there in some way, shape, or form, there is an experience we've had that you can connect to the lyrics that we're singing, whether or not it being like exactly what it was written about. I always have to put myself in that mindset. And well, sometimes it can be hard to do, but I mean, ultimately with the experiences we've had, there's some way that even if it's not the intended way of the lyrics, I can connect to it. And that's what I try to do with songs that I haven't written myself. And, with this album, I feel a connection to it in different ways than how it was originally intended, like Joe had written. So.
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is like what Joe was specifically writing about during this album is not going to be something that you've specifically gone through due to the fact that, again, even though you guys are in the same band, your lives and how you've led them can be completely different. So
Absolutely.
When it comes to creating something like this, and especially for you trying to sing on and have these vocals really stand out with the lyrics, but also trying to match that exact same mindset that Joe was having when he wrote this, what you have to do is you have to find a way to connect yourself personally to it, especially use the metaphors that are in the lyrics to find that emotion that's being at the base of those lyrics and base the meaning of the song, but then take that and use it in your personal experience, because then you're going to be singing about maybe something that you went through, but the emotion is going to be the same. And you can better connect to what Joe was trying to portray, so that when you sing and when you put your vocal track down, you're basically matching up what the instrumentals are showing you, but you're also hitting exactly the emotion that Joe was trying to portray with these lyrics.
Exactly. Yeah, you hit it right on the head of the nail.
Well, it's the same way that like anyone that listens to music connects with their favorite bands, because you can listen to something where, I mean, hell, I'll listen to a bunch of different music and I know I don't really understand exactly what the artist is specifically writing about unless they completely tell me about it.
Right.
But then again, it's something where if I don't know exactly what you're talking about, if I really look and try and connect with the song, there's going to be some sort of core emotion to that song, to those lyrics, to the instrumentals that I can listen to, and I can connect with something that's specific in my life. And all of a sudden, now I'm connected to this song. I'm connected to this band. That's why people go to live shows, because you get people from all different walks of life, all different religions, all different races, all different everything. They can be the most completely different people, but because you connect with the band and connect with the song on that exact same emotion, hell, it's like you guys are like everyone. That's why people enjoy going to live shows. That people miss the fact that, for 2020, we were without being in crowds where everyone just enjoyed themselves because we all connected to the music in a common way over the emotion of the songs.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of music. And it also highlights the community of the scene that we're in. And I think that it's a very powerful thing. And that's why I love doing what I do.
And that's why I love doing this as well, because then I get to connect with you guys in a different way as well. But then now with, of course, concerts back in full swing, I'm just like, yes.
Yeah. Here we go. We've been waiting,
Yeah. Were you guys able to perform at all during the pandemic, or were you guys like focusing on writing? Because I know in a certain places in the United States, specifically like Texas and Florida, that I knew of places that were doing smaller shows, more outdoor shows as well, some socially distant shows as well. So were you guys doing anything like that, or was it just so focusing on the writing to make sure this album was as best as it could be?
It was mainly all writing. I think the only performing we did were some acoustic live streams. That was pretty much it. And then we did certain things like on Twitch. We did like a Hot Ones challenge type deal and just talked about some stuff. But yeah, mainly the only performing we did was acoustic, and it was like live streamed.
There's a lot of bands that end up doing stuff like that as well. But you had, for bands, you had to do that in order to really continue to connect with your fans. I've seen, during 2020, we saw different bands do different live streams. Of course, when we were starting out those live streams, they were pretty much like, okay, here's what the live set would have been like. But you can't really do that in a live stream because the fans aren't right in front of you. And then as 2020 went on, even in 2021, seeing some of these live streams and how they evolved into be something that was kind of larger than life in a way. And the two that really stick out to me were the two Falling in Reverse shows, because especially the second one that they did. The second one was over the top insane with all the different like the green screen technology, all the background stuff with the technology. Holy crap, was that insane. And then the last one that Motionless and White did right in the middle of June, what they did at an asylum. Holy crap, just how they had that set up. I'm like, my God, these live stream things are getting insane.
Yeah, they definitely started going over the top, and you kind of started to see something like change, like the change of the digital era. Like, no shows, okay, well, we're gonna bring it to you then. And I think that the spike in live streams and the amount of creativity that comes out of it was actually pretty awesome.
What I'm really curious to see is how is the bands that really perfected these live stream shows and really were doing a lot of these live stream shows potentially could translate them into their own live set, so that now we kind of get some like a grander production in a way. But of course, now you're going to have the fans in front of you as well going absolutely ape crazy in a mosh pit like I would be, and probably get my face, beat up once again. He'd get a huge cut above my eye, but I wouldn't care, It's part of life.
It's part of being in the pit,
It's part of being in the pit. It's like going at your own risk, but I know the risks. I know the potential problems that could happen in there. I'm going to go in anyway because it's too much fun. I'm not going to say no to it.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Well, I mean, because again, you said you guys did like some acoustic live performances. You guys really worked on Twitch. Especially during 2020, how useful did you find that in terms of connecting with your fans, especially with the fact that was really the only way you guys could connect with fans was online, due to the fact that you couldn't go out and perform live. You couldn't really go out and see people because social distancing was the big thing. So in order for bands to really continue to not only stay in the mindset of fans, but continue to grow, of course, the online thing was definitely going to have to be a huge, huge asset. So how did you guys manage that?
Just by doing the live streams and stuff, we would do, Q&A, just live, and trying to read all the comments that people coming through and just answering questions. Essentially, we set up, Harry had a home studio at the time. So we kind of set up all the audio to make sure the audio sounded nice, and singing the songs and kind of just talking to our fans via online was the best way we were able to do that. We started a Patreon, and since then we started our own little podcast for the Patreon listeners that we do once a month. So even though touring is coming back and live shows are coming back, we were able to create something that is a little more intimate for the fans that want to be a part of it. And I think that is something nice that we were able to do through the pandemic, and another way to connect with our fans.
And especially with that podcast on Patreon, is with the fact that live shows are back and you guys are going to end up going out on the road touring once again, you can continue to create a podcast for once a month for the patrons on Patreon from the road, because when you're on the road, I've heard so many different stories from so many different bands about all the crazy stuff that happens on the road. It's like impossible to have some sort of a crazy story. They're not to have some sort of a crazy story. So the fact that you guys potentially share something like that with the patrons that want to be a part of it, it continues to not only grow your this little podcast, grow your Patreon page, but also just grow your online presence as a whole, because you're not neglecting that once touring comes back. It's you guys could take a look at that and say, okay, now that touring's coming back, how can we integrate what we did online and what we can do with touring and kind of make everything work together in harmony?
No, exactly. And I mean, there is quite a bit of downtime on tour. Granted, you're much more tired than you are when you're just hanging out, but we always do a tour story segment. So even though touring hasn't been happening, now that it's coming back, we can finish off the stories of past tours and, maybe have something that's topical to the moment that we're in. And I think that's cool. I think it's cool. And it's nice to be able to connect with fans on that level.
Yeah, because all of a sudden what happens if you guys have a crazy tour story the day before you record that podcast, then you can literally share it, put it out there, and within 2 to 3 days, all of a sudden, something that happened to you 2 to 3 days ago, the fans are already getting to hear about, know about, and they're getting even more excited to potentially see you live, because it's like, okay, and what other crazy stories are they going to have? It just creates much more of an interest, but also much more of a connection to the fans where you're literally sharing stuff with them as it's kind of happening.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's a pretty cool thing.
Oh, it absolutely is. And that's one major thing I'm curious about too, is not only with you guys, but with pretty much every single band that's really focused on the online presence during 2020 is, now that touring is back, how are you going to integrate both that? Because you get there's people that have really built up a huge online following. how do you continue to keep that going while also being on the road? And I know it's not going to be easy because life on the road is much more different than sitting at home or being in a studio. You're on the move. You're eating at 3 a.m. in a Taco Bell drive-through, and the people are telling you, no, it's closed, and all of a sudden they're like, no, it's not closed. Your sign says open, and then you call back a couple minutes later just to see what they say, and they're like, no, we're open. Then you're wondering what the hell's going on. It was a podcast I recorded yesterday with it was a band that I had on in the beginning of June, and they basically ripped on their bassist for fun because that's what they do. After the episode, the bassist messaged me and said, "Can I shoot one with you and basically get my revenge in a way?" I'm like, "Oh hell yeah!" So that's why I'm getting all these crazy stories. But again, it's going to be interesting to see how this all happens when it comes to, again, you guys getting back on the road. However, I feel like with the mindset that you guys have, and especially with what you did during the pandemic, where you're going to take a look at the time that you have and figure out how you can make the most of it in terms of, okay, this is what life is like right now. What can we do to continue, especially make sure our live shows are kick-ass, make sure we connect with the fans, but also make sure that online we're still connecting with all the fans there and the online presence continue to grow because, I mean, hell, even after the pandemic, people are still going to be living on their phones. People are still going to be constantly on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Twitch, on TikTok, on YouTube, wherever it might be to connect with what they like, and especially when it comes to music, connect with their favorite bands.
Exactly. Yep. And I'm curious to see how these shows do when they start coming back too, because I don't know if everybody personally is ready to be around people, so I know most of the fans are like, I'm ready for live music to come back, but there's still going to be some people that are going to be like a little weary about it. I don't know. Maybe should I go to the show? Should I not? So I'm very curious to see how the crowds react when we get back out there.
That's definitely going to be something to see. And for you guys on stage, there's going to be something you're going to have to gauge during that live performance because, of course, the people are going to be at that show are going to be all in on it. They're not. We've been without concerts for over a year at that point. We're not going to be able to wait to just enjoy and watch our favorite bands. Hell, from middle of July until basically end of September, it's every single week, and I've got 1 to 2 to sometimes even 4 or 5 shows I have to go see. And I'm just I'm not missing out on that. I missed out on that for a whole year. If for some reason I overdose on shows, I am not going to complain about that. If my bank account right now is probably saying, Kevin, stop fucking buying concert tickets. I'm like, but I get to see S9 Kills twice in 4 days. But that's
which
fun.
Is amazing. I'm looking forward to even going to see some shows in the future. So touring and playing, but I also love live music myself. So I'm like, I can't wait until I can go and stand in the sweet spot and listen to one of my favorite bands play music. It's a cathartic thing.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Now I got to ask you this: now that live music come back, what's the one band that you got to go and see live? Whether it's one that you want to go and see that you haven't seen yet, or one that you've seen plenty of time that you just want to go see again.
I would love to see an Every Time I Die show.
Really?
Oh yes. When they announce anything, I'm ready.
Trust me, that's like me anytime Rise Against announces anything. I'm just like, where
is it? Where is it? Yep.
Yeah, and also they release tour. I'm like, oh man, they're not even coming and they first release, I'm like, they're not coming anywhere near me. What the actual hell? Then I find out I'm going to a bachelor party in Vegas, and the first night I'm there, they're playing at the Cosmopolitan. So I'm like, well, I'm gonna tell my friends, see you guys later. I'm out.
I'm going to this show.
And then I'm going to go see them the next week, and the week after that, and the week after that. Then Days with Ice Nine Kills. It just keeps getting crazy. But again, I understand what you're saying, where there's going to be some people that are hesitant to go back to shows, especially what we experienced over the past year. But just as time goes on and these shows continue to happen, those people that are going to be a little bit weary will end up coming back.
Yeah, I believe so as well. It's just getting back into the groove of things, I think.
Absolutely. So I got to ask you this: when are you guys getting back out on the road, if you're able to say?
Yes, we are going in November. We'll be out for the month of November with the Tiny Moving Parts, Belmont, and Proper.
You're going out with Belmont?
Yeah, Belmont will be direct support to Tiny Moving Parts, and we are it's us and Proper.
Holy shit! All right, now guys, I really hope when that announcement comes out with the listing, especially knowing that Belmont, being from a city 90 miles south of me, you guys end up coming up this way, because seeing Capstan and Belmont in the same show, there's no way I'm missing that.
Yeah, actually, it's a continuation of the tour that when COVID hit, we were 3 days in and we had to cancel the tour. So we were in Palatine, Chicago, or Palatine, Illinois, sorry. And we drove to my parents' house in Detroit when everything was hitting the fan. We were one of the last tours to cancel, and we just had to drive back to Florida because the pandemic had started. So this is kind of a continuation with a different opener on the tour. But
Totally
yeah, I believe the beginning of November, and we go up until just before Thanksgiving.
Well, I hope, because again, you guys were in Illinois. I hope you guys make your way back around that and maybe go a little bit north into Wisconsin so that I can be like, yeah, let's go.
Absolutely. I can't remember the dates offhand. We do have that. We have announced it. But I'm pretty sure we play Wisconsin. I think we do. Don't quote me. But
I won't quote you until it comes out. But I mean, now I'm getting even more excited because that means I get to go to see another show. My bank account's gonna be like, Kevin, are you seriously buying another concert? I'm gonna be like, damn, hell yeah, I'm serious. Are you fucking kidding me? And then all of a sudden, bing, bang, boom. All right, you're out like this amount of money. I don't care. It's gonna be fun anyway. I would much rather spend the money going to concerts and enjoying everything than like just like, okay, I'm gonna spend it on on going out for a night and just drinking because, well, I get like 4 drinks with the price of a concert ticket. Like, I'd rather be in a mosh pit for like 3 hours instead of just like drinking 4 drinks in an hour and being like, all right, what now?
Right.
But hey,
I'm just taking a look really quick. We play Madison on November 2nd. It's the first day.
That's a Tuesday. Okay, alrighty. That's definitely gonna be something that it's a Tuesday. It's at my full-time job that I still work. That's our busy time, but yeah, that feels like a time where I'm going to have to just get in the car and just tough it out.
It would be awesome. It's called High Noon Saloon is where we're playing.
High Noon Saloon. Alrighty. Because I might even have to tell my brother, be like, hey, get your ass out of bed. We got to go. You got to come to me with this show. Why? Because I said so. Even though he does not like any of the kind of music that I like. He's much more of like a EDM kind of guy. However, for some
odd... You still can get down. You can still get down.
However, if for some random reason, if there's a show that him and I will go to and we could just go ape crazy at and enjoy it, it's got to be a ska band. No matter what. If all of a sudden like Goldfinger comes around and I see it, I'm like, dude, you're coming with.
Yeah, Goldfinger rocks.
We have to get him into Belmont and Capstan as well and be like, you're going to enjoy this shit. I'm just going to send it to him and be like, hey, Scott, listen to this. Why? You're going to enjoy it.
Jam it.
Just enjoy it. I can just see him. Why should I enjoy this? Like, because I'm enjoying it. Duh. And all of a sudden he's like, I feel like going to ask me, are there like incredible, like those unclean screams? I'd be like, maybe. I got to throw him off just a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
I'll see if I can try and get him out to that show as well because he lives out in Madison. So just be like, hey, just take off of work for the day. Just tonight. Come on. Just come on.
Yeah, it's only a couple hours.
Yeah, it's only a couple hours. Plus, it's like your drive home is like 10 minutes, man. My drive home is a little over an hour.
Right.
And honestly, I don't care about that drive. I will, if I need to, I'll just end up toughing it out and all of a sudden waking up on 4 hours of sleep going back to work. But the fact of the matter is I always look at it this way. And this is the way I look at a lot of concerts. Yeah, I could lose a lot of sleep trying to get to these shows. Yes, I could absolutely be tired the next day. But is being tired the next day worth an incredible concert and then the next week, you're not going to worry about how much sleep you lost. What you're going to remember is the time you had at that live show.
No, exactly. Yeah. I mean, you can't really catch up on sleep either. So it's like, I'm going to go to this, be tired for a day, and then back to the normal schedule. So
well, for me, especially this upcoming like next couple of months, it's gonna be like, alrighty, I'm gonna lose sleep the next day, and we'll catch up the next day. Well, the problem is I'm not gonna catch up the next day because there's another show the next day I'm going to see. Right. So it's just gonna keep happening, and then all of a sudden I might try and catch up during the week, but I usually get like 5.5 hours sleep during the week anyway because I'm always working on a bunch of stuff, and then, well, just don't ever get much sleep. But honestly, yeah. I always think back at the times where it's like, okay, what are the concerts I've been to where I've dragged myself to because I was either tired or it was a long distance or I'm just not feeling it. And the ones that I've literally had to drag myself to because I bought tickets but I just wasn't feeling it are some of the shows that are the absolute best. Where I'm just like, I'm so happy I went here and I become fans of a lot of these bands based off of those shows.
Which is amazing. Yeah, it's usually that's the way to do it. Yeah, I'm going to be tired, but okay, I'll do it. And you end up having a blast.
Yeah, it was like, I'm like, okay, now I got to drive up to Minneapolis for the show. My friends want me to go see it. Alrighty, I'll just do this. I'm driving up there. Alright, I can either drive home at like 11 at night, or I can crash at my friend's place because I went to school up there, so a lot of people are up there. I'm like, I'm just might crash at my friend's place, leave early in the morning, and just see what happens. I went up there to go see, well, I'll put it this way. The opener was Beartooth. So I was already
wow.
like in super high energy mode right from the get-go. I'm like,
let's go! Those guys are awesome.
But I want to jump a little bit back into separate as well, because right now you guys have released, I got to make sure I get the names of the 3 singles right. So I got to pull up another screen on my computer, because you've released 3 singles on this album before the release with Shades of Us, Take My Breath Away, and Noose and Abandon. I've listened to all 3, and I got to say, out of those 3, man, Shades of Us just hits. Again, like I said, like the way that everything flows together, it just hits perfectly.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was my favorite for the time like when we were picking them, and now I think Abandon has kind of been my favorite since these songs have been released. I've kind of vibed with that one a little more than I did with Shades at this point.
Why is that? I'm just curious, honestly.
I just think I don't know. Maybe it's the music video. I just like the music video better, or I don't know. My opinions always change from them from time to time. But I can say that "Take My Breath Away" Noose, that was my favorite music video shoot we've ever done.
Ooh,
very lax.
Okay. I'm about to say, why was the music video shoot your favorite?
Oh yeah,
it's got to be a good reason.
Very lax. We got to dress up, and we did like a little dance for the last chorus, and it was very fun to learn it. Never done a choreographed dance in a video ever, so it was very fun to do.
Guys are like pulling out like the shades of like Backstreet Boys and NSYNC right there then.
Oh yeah. No, it was very fun. A huge inspiration was Don Broco. I don't know if you've seen any of their music videos, but they're amazing, and they do a lot of choreographed dance in those.
I've heard their music. I haven't watched any of their music videos. Usually the music videos I watch, it's usually there's people going absolutely crazy. It's dark, it's heavy, or you get like guys in masks just singing with deep, unclean vocals about the boogeyman, aka Baba Yaga. If there's my little Slaughter Prevail reference right there.
Okay. Yeah, no, Don Broco's music videos are actually very fun. I wasn't a huge fan of their music at first, and then I watched the music videos, and then I got it, and then I was like, okay, now I'm like really vibing on this. So if you get a chance, just watch a couple of them. You won't be disappointed, I don't think.
I'm gonna have to watch them all, especially if there's some choreographed dance in there.
But
I say whenever I look at these like certain songs, whenever I go deep into them. Because one thing I always try and pull out first is like what the meaning of the song is, and that's usually where I start to get that connection. Because then it's similar like when we were talking about with your vocals, where when I find out the meaning of the song, when I kind of just get that core emotion, I relate it to myself, then I can really figure out like the instrumentals and see how everything progresses to really amplify on that
the emotion,
and then how the vocals match up with that as well to really create this story and this kind of like guided tour through your emotions in a way.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely agree with that.
Because like Shades of Us, I mean, that one, not going to lie, that one took me for a ride. That one took me for quite the ride.
Yes, absolutely. And that song is mainly about just wanting to be with somebody, but no matter how you look at it, your relationship with this person is just completely fucked. So
exactly. That's pretty much, I'll say that's exactly what I got out of it too. And because I was thinking about it too, where back in like 2017, the girl that I was dating, it was like everything from the 2016, everything was going right. Even when I was away for 3.5 months for my last semester of college, like everything seemed to be going right. I came back, and then all of a sudden it seemed like everything just started going wrong. No matter what happened, it was like, because I'm even taking a look at it, like reflecting on it is important because it helps us see our own faults and allow us a chance to correct them. Happened to me and the splitting with my girlfriend in 2017. Even though it was the right choice, because my actions were sort of dragging me down between like life, depression, lack of communication, everything about that. But if I didn't reflect on it, I wouldn't understand what had happened. I wouldn't be open to talking about it. Not only that, but I wouldn't be open to knowing how it affected me and how to change it for the future in terms of not only just connecting with some other person I might be in a relationship with, but also other people in general.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, and when you're struggling, you can learn a lot. And especially in those types of situations.
No, absolutely. Because even I look back at it now, it's just like at first I'm like, I thought that, there was definitely more problems, like, okay, there's just certain problems, like circumstantial problems. And then I realized like a lot of those circumstantial problems were circumstances because of things that, not that I was doing, but things that I was going through in terms of, okay, I just got out of college. I started a full-time job, and where I was, I absolutely hated it. And I hated the fact that now I'm in a corporate setting. It seemed like everything I was going for college kind of led up to like, this is what you're going to be for your like rest of your career for the next like 40, 50 years. And I absolutely hated it. I'm thinking, is this what my life is supposed to be like? So then it just took a toll on everything else. And it seemed like everything I did touch just basically turned to shit.
Right. And that's, I mean, that can happen in anyone's lives. And that's another reason why I feel like you connect to Shades more than the next person, or you know what I'm saying? And that's another like way to play off of music, like, and how it gives you emotion.
Oh, absolutely. Because when I get to go and see you guys live, if I'm going to go see you guys and you guys will play Shades of Us, of course, I'm going to connect with it in a certain way that the person that I'm going to be standing next to probably isn't going to connect with it in the same way, or even as impactfully. But because of what they went through in life, they might connect with Abandon so much more than myself would, or Take My Breath Away News than I would. But the fact of the matter is the fact that we're going to be seeing you guys live is we're going to connect with some kind of song, some kind of your music in a certain way that's really going to be impactful on us. And when we do that, that's where the connection comes in, where we're going to be at the venue. We're going to be hanging out there. We're going to be listening to music, just vibing out, jamming out, whatever it might be. But it's just that positivity that radiates from it, where, again, when I listen to Shades of Us, I kind of get to go back and realize certain things where, yeah, I did certain things where I put myself in those situations that basically kind of took me down in a way, where everything I touched basically turned to shit. But if I don't realize that, then I could potentially make
How can you fix it?
Exactly. If I didn't realize that, how can I make the mistake over and over? I can easily make the mistake over and over and over again, and then just keep blaming other things instead of just taking a look at what the real root cause of the problem was, and then figuring out how to fix it from there.
Absolutely.
And sometimes it's even just like cutting the cord, even just being like, okay, got to cut this loose, got to start over with something. Because all of a sudden it's like, okay, because I even take a look at that time in 2017, I'm like, okay, me with the relationship wise, horrible, just was not good. Me and the job I was in, horrible, not good. Me questioning if life was even worth living due to the fact that it was just a horrible spot. But then reflecting on that with Shades of Us, just reflecting on what had caused that, and then realizing what I'd done to fix it, which was start something for myself. Be able to start doing something that I enjoy, to potentially take what I was doing for work and all of a sudden fix that with me doing something for myself. And now I'm here talking to you, doing that exact same thing. So it's kind of coming full circle here in a really weird way, which is fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing. It's a good feeling too when you realize it. And sometimes, it'll take a minute, but usually things do come full circle, which is pretty cool.
Which it really is. Okay, I got to ask you this question because I got to pull up a list of the complete album. So out of all the songs that are on the album, which is the song that, people are going to have to listen to when the whole entire thing comes out?
I would say I would like to say Alone. That's probably my favorite song on the album. And as you can see, we have a wonderful vocalist that's featured on it, Shane from Silverstein, which is a pretty cool thing for me too. And talking about full circle moments, that's one of them. So, because I grew up listening to that band. So
again, full circle moment where you grew up listening to Silverstein. And I got to say this about Silverstein. They're one of the most consistent bands I have ever listened to, where they're like you listen from album to album. It's, for me, not gonna lie, no album of theirs completely blows me away. But when I listen to their album, it's like they're consistently good. Like, it's just like this consistency with just good quality music is completely there every step of the way. So even when I was looking at the list, I'm like, okay, which one stands out to me the most? And I'm like looking the most forward to, and it is Alone with Shane Toll, because I'm very curious to see how the instrumentals are going to work, and not only that, but then how your vocal set and his vocal set are going to compare and contrast to bring out the power of the instrumentals, bring out the power of your vocals, and really bring out the message in two completely different ways. Because when you have you're singing on there and Shane singing on there, we might get two completely different styles. Again, I have no idea, but I can't wait for July 23rd. I almost said June 23rd. It's already passed. Can't wait for July 23rd to actually listen to this bad boy.
Oh yeah, I'm very excited for people to hear it.
So now everyone, when July 23rd hits, make sure when you listen to Separate by Capstan, what I want you to do is don't just listen to that one single, even though that's like the thing you might be looking the most forward to. Listen to the album from top to bottom. And the reason I say is because there's a reason you guys put those songs 1 through 10. There's a reason you pick those 10 songs and they're ordered that way. It's incredible to go through that journey from top to bottom and really understand it. And if you guys need another album to kind of precursor into this, to really like get going and understand that full album feel, I kind of mentioned them earlier. Beartooth, listen to the new one, just top to bottom, and then prepare to understand how these albums are like ordered from top to bottom and really get into the mindset of the whole entire meaning of the album and really reflect on what the album is showing you, along with what it's going to show you about yourself.
Absolutely. I that's the way that I pretty much only listen to music nowadays. You know, I don't really have a playlist that I play that often. If I'm going to listen to a band or an album, I will listen to the album and I just start it from number one and let it go through, because that's how they were intended to be heard.
Absolutely. And I understand like the use of playlists as well. Like even for myself, I've got different playlists I listen to when I work out, because there's time to like, okay, I'm running. I just want to listen to a bunch of metalcore just to really get going. If I'm lifting, I'm like, okay, turn on the Beartooth because I want that energy to go absolutely ape crazy. But if I'm listening to it now, I'm like, there's plenty of times I just want to listen to it from top to bottom because it takes you on a freaking journey. And you really get to dive deep into what the band or what the artist is trying to portray to you. And then you get to relate it to your own self. And all of a sudden you pull out something that is absolutely incredible. Plus, if you just focus on the singles, there is something in there that you could completely miss that could be absolutely incredible. Again, Alone by Capstan featuring Shane Soul from Silverstein could be the song that just blows you out of the water and be like, holy shit, this is one of my favorite songs of all time. But if you don't pay attention to it because you're just paying attention to singles, you're going to completely miss out on that. It's kind of a crime, actually.
Yeah, we handpicked our singles with the help of Fearless as well, but we're pretty stoked on all of the songs regardless. It's just we're doing a different type of rollout, so we've already had 3 and there may be more in the future.
There may be more in the future, but then again, we will get all 10 for sure on July 23rd.
Yes.
Man, I'm gonna keep pushing this out. I'm like, we're gonna get all 3 on July 23rd, and that's the way that's the bottom line because I said so.
I love it.
I definitely need like to shave my head, get myself a couple of Steve Weisers, get myself an Austin 316 shirt, and say that. But you know what? I don't feel like shaving my head, and I can't do it
smashing the two together and dropping them.
I could easily do that. I mean, hell, I worked for the brewery when I was in college for a internship, and I worked for the distributor 2 years before that, putting out beer. So I am well versed when it comes to beer and the multiple different ways that you can drink it. In terms of you can drink it very nicely out of can, out of glass. You can smash it Stone Cold Steve style. You can use a funnel, aka beer bong style. You can use it so many different ways.
It's true.
Honestly, with it being summer now, I mean, go out and listen to this album, listen to it outside, listen to it with your friends. Or one of my favorite things to do is, especially when the album comes out, here's another thing that you can do. Download it. Okay, download it. And then go on a drive and just start from top to bottom and just get lost in it, because you connect with, for some reason, I don't know what it is, you connect with music, like a lot of people, so much more when you're just driving and you're just focused in on, you got the road and all of a sudden the music's going, and then you start thinking about certain things, but the music kind of drives your thinking and kind of guides you through certain things, where all of a sudden you could get lost in your head, and all of a sudden you're going to find out certain things about yourself you had no idea about.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, driving there is something different about it when you listen to it in a car, especially if you're by yourself.
Or you can do what I do, by yourself, windows rolled up, radio, put it max volume, potentially blowing out my eardrums, but I probably don't care at the moment. I mean, I'm pretty sure in like 20, 30 years, hearing aids are going to be, to the point where it's going to be like a little microchip they put in your ear, and I'm going to be like, okay, I'm good.
Right.
Honestly, there's probably a lot of us that are going to have to follow along with that, because that's just going to be like,
especially live music lovers. I know there's going to be some hearing damage, I'm sure.
I probably already got hearing damage at somewhere deep in there, because there's plenty of times where all of a sudden, like, okay, I'm either right at the front, I'm in the mosh pit, or I always end up right next to the speakers. I only end up in those 3 places.
Just blowing your ears.
Yeah, and all of a sudden it's like, alrighty, especially when you get to like a super duper heavy song, and all of a sudden it's like,
you can feel it in your heart rattle. Your whole chest is rattling.
Yeah, and then I lose hearing for the next 3 days, and all of a sudden there's a consistent ringing in my ear, and then I'm on a call with like my boss or somebody. He's telling me something. I'm just like, what? And then I'm on a call with my boss, and his boss is doing the exact same thing because she was probably at the exact same show that I was at.
Right. Now, there's something to be said too when you leave a venue and your ears, like everything just kind of seems muffled, and you got a little bit of a ringing going on because now it's quiet. I'll never forget that feeling and that sound after walking out of a venue, listening to all the bands just blare their music in your face.
And especially when you walk out with this feeling of just like pure bliss at the moment due to the fact that you saw that live show that you really wanted to see. And especially if it met or exceeded expectations. I mean, there's no like chance you're losing that smile when you walk out of the venue. Like, you're just happy as all hell. And then when you wake up, I mean, you're still feeling like the residual effects from it. I've been to plenty of those concerts where I'm just like, come home and it's like, yeah, I wish I was still back there. That was too much fun. And I haven't had that. I haven't really had like that full on feeling in almost a year, or over a year, I should say. But
yeah,
it's gonna end.
It's coming soon. Yeah,
it's coming soon, and for me, it's gonna happen very, very often because I'm seeing as many bands as possible, including Capstan when they come to Madison, Wisconsin.
Yes, I love it. Thank you. I hope to see you there.
Oh, you'll see me there, and you'll enjoy what I have to say as we close out this podcast. So, Anthony, as we bring this podcast to a close, I always like to give the guests a chance to say what they want to say, plug what they want to plug, anything. So, Anthony, my man, the floor is yours.
Well, as you know, Capstan's album Separate comes out on July 23rd. You can find our merch and everything that you need at capstanband.com, and follow us on Spotify, Twitter, Instagram, Apple Music, whatever digital streaming platform you use. But our handle is Capstan Band. And thank you for listening to this podcast. And I appreciate you having me on this podcast, Kevin. This has been a great time.
It's been a great time, Anthony. And now it's time for me to end with 3 separate things. So you guys just listening or watching this on YouTube, you just heard what Anthony had to say about where you can find Capstan when it comes to Separate coming out, where you can stream it, and where you can buy their merch, all that stuff. But you guys know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it as easy as possible on you. So you look in the description of the podcast, you find Capstan online. You're going to see links to all their social media accounts, links to their Patreon, links to their Twitch, links to their YouTube, links to Spotify, Apple Music, where you can buy merch, all this kind of stuff. And you're going to see all the labels there. So it's going to be like a one-click, one-stop shop away kind of thing. Literally, I'm going to build a link tree for you in the description, basically. So I make it as easy as possible. So go like them on Facebook, go follow them on Twitter and Instagram, go subscribe to their Twitch channel, go become a Patreon so you can get all those great podcasts that they come out with. Go buy some merch and make sure you stream, you pre-save, and you download Separate when it comes out on July 23rd because you know I will. I mean, I've already pre-ordered it, so I'm set and ready to go.
Thank you.
Now, the second thing, Anthony, now this is the one where every time I have a guest on the podcast that I enjoy having on, I always like to make a certain promise. This has happened 100% of the time, and this is continuing. You have not broken this tradition. However, the difference is with this one, I actually have a concrete date for this to happen. So the promise is when I get to see you perform live in Madison on November 2nd, 2021. My promise to you is this, my good man. First round's on me.
All right. I love that. I'll take it.
And I will absolutely 100% remember it because I've been to one show, like one smaller show in 2021. The band I've had on the podcast, I was not able to buy the guy that I interviewed a drink because it was late. I had to go to the Indy 500 the next day. The guy was getting kind of mobbed by a bunch of fans. I had 2 6-packs sitting in my car that I brought specifically for the band because I'm like, oh, we'll just go and drink them potentially later. Who knows? But I had to leave. So I'm like, okay, here you guys go. And I left.
That's awesome, man.
So I do make good on my promises, and I will be there November 2nd, 2021 in Madison, Wisconsin. And yes, I am fulfilling that promise. I always repay my debt. So first round's on me, man.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kevin.
You're very welcome. And so as I close this out officially, I cannot end this podcast with goodbye because, Anthony, I would love to have you on the podcast again at some point in the future. Plus, I've already got a date to, make that promise, fulfilled and make sure it's all paid off, basically. So
yes,
I won't end this with goodbye because that's way too final. I'm ending it with see you later.
I will see you later. Thank you so much, Kevin.
Thank you for being on the show, man. Well, folks, that's my interview with Anthony from the band Capstan. Again, their brand new album, Separate, is coming out on Friday, July 23rd. Make sure you go pre-order it, pre-save it, download, whatever it might be. Make sure you go check it out. Make sure you go check out Capstan online, because when they hit the road once again, you're going to want to know about it. You're going to want to get tickets to go and see them, especially playing with Belmont. Holy crap, I cannot wait to go see that show, especially over a sec when they're playing in Madison, Wisconsin. I'm going to be sure to be there and make good on my promise of first rounds on me for Mr. Anthony. Again, you're going to want to follow all their stuff, subscribe to their stuff. A link section below for everything when it comes to Capstan. You're going to want to subscribe to everything when it comes to MSOT Rocks. We got a lot more of these podcasts coming out. The Chord Progression Podcast. Again, we got links section below for Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You're going to subscribe to our YouTube channel where all the videos of the Chord Progression Podcast are on, along with the fact that we have the Chord Progression Podcast on Spotify, Podcast, and iHeart Radio. I have all the links in the description below for you guys. So like, share, subscribe, tell your friends. This is awesome. And make sure, again, to check out Capstan's new album, Separate, coming out on July 23rd. Also, thank you, Phoenix Fitness, for sponsoring this video once again. And on that note, or I say this podcast, because I'm just recording the video, as always, so I'm just used to saying video. But on that note, that's going to be for me today, guys. Thank you for watching and listening to the Chord Progression Podcast, brought to you by MSOTD Rocks, or Rock and Will Thrive. My name is Kevin, and in radio voice, you know how I end every single one of these episodes with a big, healthy, and hearty see ya! Yeah!